Welcome to our channel Psyverge. You've been deceived since the moment you learned to walk. You were taught that discipline is just a matter of willpower, of trying harder when you feel lazy, of waking up early and making lists, as if tidying the surface could fix the rot in the foundations. But the truth is brutal. Discipline is not about random effort, nor about magical bursts of motivation. Discipline is war, an internal war. And in this war, either you govern your mind like a prince commands his army, or you are crushed by your own weaknesses. Most people live like crumbling cities, invaded by their impulses, sabotaged by their own disorder, easy victims of the first temptation that appears. They don't realize that without strategic discipline, there is no freedom, no strength, no victory. Those who fail to impose order on themselves are constantly enslaved by chaos. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood thinkers in history, understood this better than anyone. While others preach positivity and self-belief, Machiavelli studied human nature with the surgical coldness of someone who knew a dangerous truth. The world does not reward good intentions. It rewards the disciplined. It rewards those who, even under pressure, even surrounded by disorder, can maintain control. For Machiavelli, discipline was not a moral virtue or a beautiful ideal. It was survival. For Machiavelli, discipline was survival. It was the art of staying sane in a world that punishes weakness and devours those who hesitate. But how do you actually master discipline in real life? Not the kind you read in motivational books or hear in morning routines on social media. I mean the real kind. The kind that makes kings out of cowards and turns uncertain people into forces of nature. Let's start with something you've probably never been told. Discipline is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about weaponizing them. Most people think discipline means choking down anger, ignoring fear, or pretending they're always focused. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. He believed power came from understanding your own emotions so deeply that you could use them against yourself. You're lazy? Good. Let that laziness disgust you until you can't sit still anymore. You're afraid? Even better. Fear sharpens the mind, if you direct it instead of fleeing from it. See, most people are ruled by the moment. Whatever they feel, they obey. If they're tired, they quit. If they're bored, they scroll. If they're scared, they avoid. But Machiavelli saw that real control comes when you break that pattern, when you become the ruler of your own reactions, not their servant. And to become that ruler, he believed you must learn one thing above all else: how to manipulate yourself. People think manipulation is always external, something you do to others. But the most powerful manipulation is internal. It's the way you structure your mind so that you cannot betray your future self. It's the way you build invisible systems of pressure, so that even when no one's watching, you stay on track. This is where most people fail. They think discipline is about motivation, but motivation is emotional. It's chaotic, temporary, soft. What Machiavelli valued was structure, brutal structure. He'd say, build routines that don't care how you feel. Use rewards and punishments like a tyrant governing an unpredictable city. And if your emotions rebel, suppress them not with kindness, but with strategy. He saw human nature for what it is: inconsistent, selfish, impatient. So he never built systems that depended on people being good. He built them assuming people would lie, cheat, panic, betray. That included himself. So ask yourself, do you build your goals assuming you'll always be motivated? Or do you build them like a strategist preparing for mutiny? Because you will betray your goals at some point. You will want to quit. You will be seduced by comfort. Discipline is not about avoiding this. It's about expecting it and being prepared. That's why Machiavelli emphasized fear over love, not just politically, but psychologically. Most people only take action when they feel like it, when they're in love with an idea. But love fades. Fear remains. He knew that fear, when properly used, sharpens focus, strengthens boundaries, and creates urgency. Want to wake up early consistently? Don't wait for motivation. Create consequences. Set public stakes, burn your safety nets, install punishments that hurt more than staying in bed comforts. That's how a prince rules his impulses. Not by begging them to behave, but by outsmarting them. The problem is, people want to be comfortable and disciplined, but comfort and discipline are natural enemies. One must dominate the other. You don't become disciplined by being nicer to yourself. You become disciplined when you build systems that make the path of least resistance the one that serves your long-term ambition. Machiavelli would say, stop trusting yourself so easily. Stop believing your inner voice always has your best interests. Sometimes your mind is your enemy, and sometimes you must treat it like a conspirator trying to take your throne. What's more, Machiavelli didn't see discipline as something gentle or virtuous. He saw it as a kind of controlled violence. Violence against your own chaos, your comfort, your instinct to relax when you haven't earned it. You don't need to meditate in the mountains to master discipline. You need to learn how to take command in the trenches of daily life. When the urge to procrastinate hits, when your emotions want to take over, when you feel like doing anything except the hard thing in front of you. That's your battlefield. So how do you win there? You create rituals that run deeper than mood. You rehearse the hard decisions until they become reflex. You eliminate options that give you escape. You reduce freedom in the short term so you can expand it in the long run. Because that's another brutal truth Machiavelli understood. Freedom is not the opposite of discipline. It is the result of it. People think being free means doing whatever you want. But that kind of freedom is a trap. It leads to indulgence, addiction, failure. Real freedom is when you are no longer ruled by your weaknesses. When you can choose discomfort over ease, action over delay, purpose over pleasure. You want the life others envy? You need the discipline others avoid. You want to be unstoppable? You must become someone who keeps moving even when no one is cheering, especially when no one is cheering. Machiavelli would remind you, you're not here to be liked. You're here to rule. And to rule you need order, not inspiration, not good vibes, not endless forgiveness of your bad habits. You need a brutal clarity about who you are and who you must become. Every day you delay, chaos gains territory. Every excuse you make, comfort tightens its grip. Every shortcut you take, you feed the enemy within. So stop waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect mood. Start governing your behavior like a strategist governs a city under siege. That means cutting off your own escape routes, reducing your reliance on emotion, and training your instincts like soldiers. Through repetition, through clarity, through ruthless honesty. This isn't about turning yourself into a machine. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to feel good in order to do what must be done. Because the truth is, your future is not decided by what you hope for. It's decided by what you tolerate. And most people tolerate too much softness, too much delay, too many broken promises to themselves. If you want to be different, if you want to master discipline forever, you must stop making your future negotiate with your present. You must become the kind of person who chooses order when chaos is easier, who shows up when quitting is simpler, who follows through, not because it feels good, but because the throne demands it. That's what Machiavelli would whisper to you in the quiet moments, when you're tempted to scroll instead of study, when you're about to hit snooze, when you lie to yourself and call it self-care. He would say, the weak man asks for comfort. The strong man asks for control. Which one are you becoming? So now, ask yourself, in this war against yourself, who's winning? And more importantly, who do you want to win? Because in the end, discipline isn't just about success or productivity. It's about power. And either you master it, or it masters you.